ship passing by a remote island spots, or at least the captain of the ship, spots a man who's been stranded on that island for years. The captain goes ashore to rescue the man. When he arrives, he notices there are 3 huts. So in talking to the man, he asks, "What is the first hut for?" And the guy said, "Oh, this is my house. This is where I live." "What's the second hut for?" He says, "Oh, that's my church." "And the third hut?" "Oh, that's the church I used to go to." Finding that special place of worship where our soul feels at home is sometimes a lifetime search. Another search we often find ourselves conducting is that search for an understanding of what the sacred texts have to tell us, of understanding how these sacred texts that are thousands of years old have to apply to our lives today. I remember my young mind was confused when I first read the parable of the talents in the book of Matthew chapter 25, verses 14 to 30. It's the story of a man who is getting ready to depart, and he leaves talents with each of his 3 servants to take care of while he's away. So to one servant he gave 5 talents, to another servant he gave 2 talents, and to the third servant he gave 1, based upon what he considered their ability. And when he returned, he wanted an accounting of what they had done with the talents. Well, the one that he had given 5 talents to was very happy to announce that he had doubled the talents, and there were now 10. And he congratulated him. The second servant, who had been given 2 talents, happily announced that he also had doubled his talents, and he now had 4. The third one who had received only 1 talent, told the master that he was afraid of losing it, and he knew that would upset the master. So he buried his talent in the ground to keep it safe, but he was now ready to return it to him. Well, the man was so angry at his servant that he punished him for what he had done. And Jesus closed out the parable by saying, "For to everyone who has will more be given, and he will have an abundance. But from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away." Now, when I first read that passage, it depressed me. I was very young, I didn't understand, but I thought, what a cruel thing for God to do, to take away from the poor. And I remember reading it over and over again, looking for understanding. What does it mean? And that understanding did not actually come until years later when, like a flash, after I started my spiritual training, it worked its way up into my consciousness. Jesus wasn't being cruel. He wasn't punishing the poor for being poor when he said, "Whoever does not have, even what he has, will be taken away from him." No. He was not punishing anybody. He was merely stating the law. So let's take a look at that passage and what goes on beneath the surface. First, let's look at the significance of that passage. You know, it appears in the Bible 4 times. Matthew 13:12, Matthew 25:29, Luke 19:26, and Mark 4:25. So the compilers of the Bible felt that this was a critical message that they needed to get across. If you don't have it, you lose. But what is it? What is it? This is where so many of us get lost and misunderstand what's being said here, because we live in a material world. And we think he is talking about our material possessions. We think he is talking about our financial situation, because the story was about money. But one of the things you learn about reading sacred texts is that what appears on the surface is not actually what it's about. My spiritual teacher, Norma Tringali, told me many, many years ago, the Bible is one of the greatest mystery books ever written. She explained that it's because beneath the surface of the words, it reveals the secrets of the universe. But you must read it several times to get beneath the facade of the surface meaning. And each time you read it, something new appears. Each time you read it, you get a little deeper. So you must read it enough to allow your subconscious to kick in and merge with the words so that you can begin to hear their hidden messages in your head and in your heart. Remember, the earth plane is not the end all and be all. It is merely a training ground that we're on. The lessons learned here will serve us well as we resume our rightful place in the celestial realms as the powerful spiritual beings we really are. So when we read that passage in the book of Luke, chapter 19, verse 26, I tell you that everyone who has will be given more, but the one who does not have, even what he has will be taken from him. What he is actually talking about is faith. As we move into this celebration of the holidays, or the holy days, starting with the celebration of Thanksgiving last Thursday, faith is a lesson we need to pay attention to. Of course, Thanksgiving was obviously about gratitude. It was a day for us in our minds and hearts, and even in our words, to specifically identify the things for which we are grateful, the things that infinite intelligence or God has given us in this life. To too many of us in this world, it's a cute little sentiment. Saying thank you to some unseen force, then you get to eat a lot of food. That's what it's for. But it's more important for you to understand that there is more to the story than you realize. Saying thank you is only the tip of the iceberg. The real power lies underneath those superficial words. The real power lies in your faith and commitment to the words. In the book of Matthew, chapter 17, verses 20 through 21, Jesus says, because you have so little faith, truly I tell you, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you. So simply saying thank you is not enough. Instead, saying thank you and understanding that when you say thank you, it is part of a process of expressing faith, deep faith. That is where the power is, in the faith. Expressing faith by putting our entire being and consciousness into a state of gratitude for what we've received. It's like turning on a switch. By taking our gratitude deeper than mere words, but into our deep abiding faith, then the attraction set up by the energy of that gratitude radiating from deep within our consciousness, from deep within our hearts, will act like an electromagnetic force and begin attracting many more good things into our lives that we can express gratitude for. A mustard seed. Why did we pick a mustard seed? You know, a mustard seed is so tiny you can barely see it. It's less than a millimeter in size. But when a mustard seed is planted, it can grow into a plant that is 8 feet tall. Now that mustard seed knows that within its tiny body is the power to create a plant that is over 200,000 times larger than what it actually is today. Imagine the force of your words. They could be multiplied 200,000 times. Wow. What power. What power. That's the kind of power that exists in each and every word that we speak. Yeah, we're fooled by our physical circumstances. We're fooled by the state of our physical being. We're fooled into believing that we are as tiny and as insignificant as that tiny mustard seed. But the truth of the matter is, we are giants. We are so much greater than we could ever imagine. J.B.S. Haldane, a pioneer in quantum physics, said, "The universe is not only stranger than we imagine, it is stranger than we can imagine." Stranger than we can imagine. Our power is greater than we can imagine. We are so much more than we can possibly imagine. Because when I tell you that you are an individualized expression of infinite intelligence, those are not meaningless words I'm throwing at you. I'm trying to break through the barriers that are imprisoning your consciousness to activate that all-important key of self-awareness and self-knowledge that will empower you. Remember our declaration of principles. Number one, we believe in infinite intelligence. Number two, we believe that the phenomena of nature, both physical and spiritual, are the expression of infinite intelligence. We, you, are individualized expressions of infinite intelligence. Every one of us. Wake up. I call to your spiritual selves. Wake up. Wake up to the truth that you are a spiritual being having a human experience. You are a magnificent, powerful being who has merely forgotten who you are. You're above your body. You're greater than your body. Your body is merely a vehicle for you during this training period here on the earth plane. But you're so much more than that. Which is why such a beautiful, powerful statement that Jesus uttered, "Whoever has will be given more, and he will have abundance." He, she, we, they, however you choose to use pronoun, will have abundance if we possess the faith of the mustard seed. On the other hand, whoever does not have, even what he has will be taken away. Whoever does not have, even what he has will be taken away. What is he saying? That the faith, if you do not have faith, in the power of your own spiritual being, then the faith in your own gratitude, then you are invoking in a negative way the powers of the law of attraction. Because the person who rejects that faith, that light of truth, will attract the darkness. And he will attract negative experiences. Those who focus on lack and complain about what they don't have instead of energizing what they do have with light and love and gratitude will see what they do have become diminished and crumble into dust. Hey, I understand. It's so easy to complain. It's so easy to see the dark side. I find myself doing that at the end of every month when it's time to pay the bills. It's so easy to go negative and complain, but there isn't quite enough to do all I want to do. That's what human beings do. You know, our minds are conditioned, our minds are built that way, to see the negative, but it's a self-preservation aspect. We see the negative, then we're ready to deal with adversity that comes at us, even if it's not there yet. We're ready for it. Looking around and finding yourself wondering, why can't I have that, or lamenting about what I did have, or what I could have, or what I would have, or what I should have, or what I don't have, can probably diminish what you do have. You diminish it by disrespecting its value. You diminish it because you blatantly disrespect and show disdain to its presence. You know how that feels as a person. To be standing there and somebody says, there's nobody here to talk to. It's like, well, what about me? You're being disrespected. and all around you is being disrespected, when you show little faith, when you feed your life with the withering energy of neglect and scorn and disrespect instead of the light of love. So, if you are receiving less than you want, maybe you should enjoy more of what you've got to invite a greater bounty, rather than losing your life into the dark hole of self-pity. Choose to understand who and what you really are. You are a child of God. You're an individualized expression of infinite intelligence. Jesus was not a unique being. Jesus was not the only Son of God. We are all the Son of God. We are, each and every one of us, a direct expression of infinite intelligence. Jesus was an exemplar. He came here to serve an example of what we are all capable of. He came here to show us what we can do. He even told us that whatever he can do, we can do better. More besides. We're direct expressions. You know, I shared recently on my podcast a story called, it's an ancient parable called the Hymn of the Pearl. And in this fable, which actually crosses many religions, a young prince, loved and cherished and pampered, son of a king and queen, must go out on his quest to the rite of passage, go to a foreign land and find the great pearl, or the pearl of great value. So he goes to Egypt. Now Egypt, in spiritual writings, usually symbolizes either one or two things: a place of refuge or a place of oppression. So in Egypt, the young man dresses as the Egyptians do in order to appear as one of them. Of course, they know that he's not, but he tries. And he eats the food they offer him. But when he eats the food, as you will notice in many mythological fables, when he eats the food, something happens. He loses his memory. He forgets who he is. He is now lost. He doesn't know why he's there. And he falls into deep depression. But his royal parents know what is happening, and they send an eagle to remind him of who he is, an eagle to awaken him. And once the eagle arrives and finds the prince and whispers in his ear, the beautiful voice of the eagle awakens him. And when he comes awake, then he knows what he's there for, and he goes out and he grabs the great treasure that he came to retrieve, which was the pearl of great price. And the pearl of great price symbolizes knowing the truth of who and what you really are. That is the pearl, knowing who you are. And then he returns home to ascend to his throne. Who is he? He's divine. What is he? He's the Son of God. Remember, in Buddhism, the mission of the spiritual warrior is to combat the universal enemy. Who is the universal enemy? Ignorance of our true nature. Ignorance of our true nature. Those are the messages we get over and over and over and over and over again. Know thyself. Know who you are. Understand your power. It is crucial for us to understand that we are the ones who have. We're not the ones who don't have. We are the ones who have. We are the warriors of the light, as described in this great little book, Warrior of the Light by Paul Coelho. And here it says it's a manual, a how-to book that we all get when we buy something new. We need one for ourselves as well. In the book he says, a warrior of the light knows that he has much to be grateful for. Angels help him in his struggle. Celestial forces place each thing in its place, thus allowing him to give his best. His companions say, he is so lucky. And the warrior does sometimes achieve things far beyond his capability. That is why, at sunset, he kneels and gives thanks for the protective cloak surrounding him. So as we move into this holiday season that started with Thursday with Thanksgiving Day, let us remember the power of showing gratitude is more than just saying thank you. It is the application of a deep, abiding faith that is part of a powerful ritual. The ritual of knowing who and what we really are. We are more than just human beings. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. And the faith that knowing that you are a spiritual being having a human experience, the faith in knowing that you are an individualized expression of infinite intelligence, that faith, that knowledge planted deep in your consciousness gives you the power to express gratitude at a whole different level, at the power of the mustard seed. And nothing will be impossible to you.